Today on the podcast, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Fredericks. Alex has a storied career going from initially working in the organic space to the green space to wellness to now longevity and well-being. He's taken a career from bringing great brands to market and is now trying to turn that into helping people have a better relationship with themselves. We talk about ToneWell, the company where he's using a large language model built on 20 years of studies to understand people's health from a 30-second voice recording, market looks like in a new industry, and how to think about driving action from behavior. It's a great podcast, so I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. Alex, great to have you on the podcast, man. Thanks for joining.
Zach, it's such a pleasure to be here. I've been anticipating it.
Yeah, I know we've been connected for a while. We've talked about ToneWell. You've given me some great guidance on the conference and where we can take the Consumer Health Summit. So I appreciate you just spending the time in the new year. For the people who are meeting you for the first time, can you give us a quick overview of your journey? And then we'll go ahead and dive into some of the interesting areas.
Absolutely. So I consider myself a consumer packaged goods person. I started in the music business. I don't play anything. I was never looking to be discovered. I was fortunate enough to be able to close my eyes at one point and see something, and I just worked backwards from it. And that something was a band that I wanted to bring into the world. It led me into about 18 years of the music business. And when I, as funny as it sounds to say, woke up and realized I wasn't going to be the president of Columbia Records or something like that, I left the music business and went into brand extension, skincare, cosmetics, vitamins. It led me into thought leaders. It led me into tech. It led me into green, and green became organic, and organic became wellness, and wellness is now moving into longevity. So I've been a two-market strategist and an audience capture person for a long period of time. And I just had one of those epiphany moments. I would have never considered myself an entrepreneur prior to about 2 years ago. I was an agent. I was a thought leader. I was everything else that helped other people get to the market. But I had an aha epiphany moment where I saw some technology that my light bulb went off and said, hey, this is perfect for what I understand in the world. And I want to throw my hat in this ring and take it into the public space. And that's what's become ToneWell. So that's how I got here. And honestly, the answer is yes. Now, what's the question has been most of my life. And I got to a point where I found something that I thought I could make a difference in the world with, and I just jumped on it.
That's awesome. You had a great string of transitions that I think encapsulates where this industry has come from, at least from a consumer lens or from a marketing lens, and how people have used terminology of organic to green, green to wellness, wellness to longevity. And it's been funny how those have been tacked on as branding aspects. And there's almost a commoditization of the word longevity. And so I'm excited to dig into what actually differentiates the types of companies that are in this space.
Well, to be frank with you, everything that we've just discussed are sales categories. So longevity as a sales category, not as like I am now 90 years of age and what longevity I've had, but longevity as a category is the culmination of large scale data, and we'll call it health sciences, into products, as opposed to wellness is typically the things that you are ingesting. Longevity is an output conversation. As far as I understand it, it is an output conversation that you use that data as an aggregate to make decisions almost after the fact. Wellness is about what your inputs are. It's a luxury category. I like to talk to people about their well-being, because well-being is everything that you are, your mental state, your stress, your hydration, right? Do you love people? Are you passionate? That's your well-being. And that, for me, encompasses, I started in the green, and green was doing less harm. I moved into organic, and organic is a qualification of ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
And then wellness happened, and wellness is the inputs. Like, are you supporting your XYZ system with PDQ product? And what level are you buying it at? Like the base economy level or like the super high end level? That to me is the wellness world. And then longevity, as I just said, to me is an aggregation of data and what tomorrow becomes, because it becomes marking your quality of life along a period of track and using the data to get the outcome.
It's like a heat-seeking missile. I've heard that analogy a few times, where it actually it's not that it goes towards the heat signature, it recorrects itself when it realizes it's off. And so you use some of the data and parameters to help recorrect and reorient lifestyle choices on the longevity side. Now, you could go so many ways in longevity. Like there are white glove concierge services. There are people that focus exclusively on the fitness side. There are new virtual care models. But in your past, you've talked a lot about signals. And ToneWell is interesting in that you're entering what I would call a competitive space, which is diagnostics, but you're using a different signal to help people understand their information, their health. So where did that come from along your journey? Like when did you realize this was a technological shift that you wanted to jump on and there was a lot of opportunity here?
So for me, I've been fortunate, and this might sound a little bit crazy, but I've been fortunate to put some schlock into the world. Okay. I've
Some
been
schlock.
fortunate. Yeah, just stuff that's like, that's kind of schlocky. I've been fortunate enough to put some shiny objects in the world. Like, oh my God, that's such and such a thing. And it's like goop in a jar. I've been fortunate enough also to work with really high level practitioners and thought leaders and having, unfortunately, to explain to them that it doesn't much matter. Their thing has to go into a box.
Mm-hmm.
And that box has to find its way onto a shelf. Somebody has to take it home and brag about it. Sadhguru at the UN has a program, right? Like, and that program is a box on a shelf with. So I say that to say, when I got out of like the entertainment space and the hardcore luxury goods, skincare, cosmetics, things like that, and the digital transformation age started happening. So somewhere between '08 and 2020, blockchain was introduced. I understood it because of large scale e-commerce, things like Magento and stuff like that. You understand how to organize data and where that data gets skewed, whatever. And then as the teens moved on and the digital revolution happened, so you went from, physical kiosking to click-through rates. I understood it. So when I was able to pick my client base, because at some point you just say, yeah, no, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. And then you get to that fill and you say, what am I passionate and interested about? I moved into gurus and thought leaders. Some of it was the universe tapping me on my shoulder. My wife 20 years ago was ill with copper toxicity from an IUD she had put in after our child was born. She's a nurse. Everybody told her she was crazy. No way do you have copper toxicity. And when we finally found the practitioner that listened, the solutions that he gave her, other than obviously remove the IUD, were very naturopathically based. And I said to myself, oh, that's efficacious, meaning like it does what it's supposed to, and let me go that route. And that led me into thought leaders, gurus, high-level practitioners that then led me into what is now, we'll call it wellness technology, PEMF, neurofeedback, red light, hyperbaric. How do I capture market for companies, educate the audience, most expensive thing you can do as a brand, and then set up their marketing funnels, fine, but more importantly, growth strategy based upon result. And when that happened, I just began to understand, we'll call it the capture strategy of what comes through trends.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when I found the technology that became ToneWell, I simply said to myself, here's the difference. Back to kind of the question. I believe that most people are drowning in health data. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, they still have that one question. What should I do to feel better? What should I do to function better? So though I appreciate the word diagnostic, I don't tell people I'm a diagnostic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an actionable answer company. What we do is we take a 30-second sound clip. It's pretty instantaneous, pretty frictionless, and I run it through my computer learning system that's 20 plus years of science and white papers and peer reviews and all of that stuff. And it gives me an output of data. That data I then put into an AI that we've developed that legitimately just takes it and frames it in plain English.
Mm-hmm.
What are the first 3 things you should focus on today? We were talking beforehand. I tore my rotator cuff doing jujitsu the other day. I obviously am going to go to a PT. I obviously went to the doctor and got it scanned. No kidding. But when I woke up yesterday morning, the first thing I did was a ToneWell scan. And what it gave me back was some exercises I should do on top of what the PT tells me to. The type of magnesium, because there are different types of magnesium that I should take to help me get sleep at night. The type of creatine I should take to support the muscle. And those are actionable things today. The second it ripped, I knew that I had a problem, so I didn't need to be diagnosed per se. I needed to understand what else was happening in my body that I was deficient in so that I could support the other things going on actionably. So that was, for me, again, my aha moment. I believe that if you can help people find their individual voice, they'll begin to make better choices for themselves, and their better choices lead to a better relationship with themselves. So, for example, if you were ever a heavy soda drinker and you stopped drinking soda, you will recognize that you'll just start shedding weight. And as that happens, you might say to yourself, what else can I look at in my diet, in my supplement, right? And those choices become more self-evident as opposed to data. We live in the information age. Information is useless unless you've applied it to a rubric, you know what you're looking for, you have a perspective and an outcome that you're trying to accomplish, and then you begin to qualify that information. That information then might become knowledge base, like your database, your knowledge base, and then how you use that knowledge maybe down the road, you're wise, you're an authority, what have you. Well, the same thing true to me in like the personal sense of well-being. So when I saw the tech of what we are now talking about as ToneWell, I said, hey, I can literally get in somebody's pocket. And what I mean by that is like firsthand, right? Like you're going to touch it. It's going to be about you first thing in the morning, yesterday morning, before I had my coffee, even before I take a great vitamin D sublingually. Even before I did that, I did a 30-second snapshot. It took nothing to do. That's 30 seconds. And I obviously have it a little bit faster than most, but nonetheless, I went through the same process that anybody could. And it gave me recommendations of that day. Yeah. How do I get through my day as a 53-year-old guy with a torn rotator cuff? Again, obviously going to PT, already had it scanned, know what's wrong. So that little difference for me, like how do I make the actionable step today is really where our ethos come from.
Yeah, it's closing the gap between information to action. I think that's what a lot of companies today in wellness are getting wrong. I can't tell you, I've been going through the founder showcase for the conference, and I've had a bunch of people submit for things they want to do. And the amount of health OS we want to aggregate all your data into a singular place that I've seen has blown me away. I just started like laughing when I've seen the 30th or the 31st one.
So here, I don't begrudge anybody their model for what success is. However, and this is just my own personal DNA, I am a 53-year-old man. I am born and raised in New York City. I am a Generation X latchkey kid who truly believes nobody's ever going to come save me. So therefore, what's mine is mine. I am not a huge fan of just arbitrarily giving everything that you are off into the world. It's not a conspiracy thing. I'm not a crazy person. I just don't see the value in it. What I see value in is where people make these little course corrections. Not to be ominous at all. I lived in Hoboken, New Jersey on September 10th, 11th, 12th of 2001. I was on my way to the World Trade Center with a friend of mine, my roommate at the time. He forgot his wallet for whatever reason. He's my roommate. I see him all the time. For whatever reason, I made the decision. It was a choice. Dude, I'll just wait here for you. No worries. He ran, got his wallet, came back. That choice eliminated me being on the path train that would have been under the World Trade Center. Totally hyperbaric example, but it's how choices you make limit the choices you have. Not good, not bad, just truth.
Yeah.
So inside of that, the aggregation of large-scale data actually isn't for you.
Yeah, it's for the companies that are aggregating.
Yes. Any runner that's been running time immemorial kept their stats. Believe me, they had a journal. They wrote down their times. They wrote down their heart. They knew how to take their finger to their pulse. They could write down what they ate beforehand, afterwards, and they had journals. I bet you, like real runners, have shelves of journals. It's just been simplified to the ring. Nothing wrong with that. But the bookshelf has my journals, and I can go back to 3 years ago. Now, when it's here, somebody else can go back to 3 years ago. What value does that present to you? I'm not aware of. So our model is different. Just in the case that I'm not trying to aggregate you, I'm trying to empower you. I have a good margin as a company. Believe me, I can look at large scale data. For example, we have 10,000 people in New Jersey that just did it. And I see this strain of pneumonia in 80% of them. I can then make a pretty good guess that pneumonia is going around New Jersey. Is that my ideal as a company? No. My idea as a company is to empower the person that wants to take the test to know that they have pneumonia.
Right.
That's it. Like that.
Right.
So
there is likely going to be a generational shift of that, though, because to your point, I think starting with Gen Z and then going on, there is there is a more laissez-faire approach to one's data where people are going more towards give me ease of use, simplicity, give me direction, personalization, and guidance. And in return, like I think our generation from millennials was more of a, I'll be the product if you give us freemium services. And now we're realizing, okay, I don't know if I love that. And the younger generations are going towards, well, personalize everything for me. And in return, I'm more than happy to share the data. So I totally hear where you're coming from around controlling our own information and how most of the companies that are building and aggregating data are doing it not actually for the consumer, but for the purpose of profiting off of the data.
Sure. I mean, look, I'm a Google guy. Okay. So I am one of the few people that legitimately has no filter on my Google. I don't care that it's listening. I believe in discretion, not privacy. So frankly, I'll leave my phone in the other room if it's all that important. But for as long as I can remember, so maybe 15 years, because whenever Google became what it is, right? Every place I travel, I ask my phone, coffee shop near me, diner near me, whatever.
Yeah.
It does not recommend to me Starbucks because I've never walked into a Starbucks. So when I travel to some place that I'm not, right, and I say coffee near me, it gives me the right recommendation. That aggregation of data, and I'm now a premium whatever, and I have a million this and a bunch of stars. I don't even know what any of that rating means. I just know that I've put enough dimes in the jukebox that apparently my C7 pick is the C7 pick. Like, I don't know.
Sure.
So on that level of data interaction, I don't care. I don't care that my phone's next to me and it's tracking the world. There's nothing about Alex in that space that I care about. Oh, you like my sushi recommendation? Oh, that's the best pancake. Whatever.
Sure.
That's fine because I can go back to that pancake house. It's in my Google check-in. Cool. That's a little bit difference for me. And I think that one of the variables in like the generational gap is that like what I'm beginning to see now is the clawback, right? So I do a lot of consumer packaged goods. I've done a lot in what's called the vice category, alcohol, tobacco, firearm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Alcohol companies are struggling right now. I don't drink. I've never been a drinker. I just know how to market the stuff, right? And the answer is, well, kids aren't going out and drinking. And you're like, no, because they're going out for different social gathering.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up in a music background, live band, that's where I come from. That doesn't really exist much right now. Fine, maybe it'll make its way back. I don't lament it, makes no difference. But people still need to go out and gather. So now they're gathering in different event spaces, having different passionate conversations. And that ideology is the person that's saying, you're just not getting my stuff for free any longer. You have to give me a service, a value to the proposition, because there are so many choices. And that for me is what I really lament in what is like the wellness longevity data space is that I have no ill will against anybody. And honestly, I believe the best competition is yourself. Like if there isn't somebody else on the field, why are you there? If somebody else isn't trying to beat you up that path, like, dude, are you in the right place? Different than the existential, hero's journey side of that conversation. But if I'm going into a marketplace, there's first to market, awesome. But if you're the only guy there, you might want to, right? So all of the things people are wearables competition. No, not a wearable's not a competition to me because it's doing something different in the same space, right? Is Quest Diagnostic blood exam? No. And I hope that you get one, but it's giving you this long form data that, by the way, you need an interpreter.
You'd be one of the biggest challenges that I see also with a lot of the companies in the health and wellness space or health and well-being space, a better bit to our earlier conversation, is the frequency in which an individual is able to engage both with the service and then with the information that it provides. And that was one of the things you were talking about is you're in their pocket. Like daily, you can get actionable insights in order to, what should you do today to set yourself up for health? Now, one of the things that I'm curious about, and I'm sure people that I've started talking to are curious about, is how do you effectively build the go-to-market? Like, how do you understand with a new company, getting the customers not only aware, but using it and then staying on it and retaining it? And I saw you've worked with physicians before in order to implement ToneWell. You've told me about some direct to consumer. How have you thought about the best approach to engaging and getting ToneWell out to as many people as possible?
So that's a really good question. And I think the thing that most people stumble on and then don't pay enough attention to, it's like you get totally frustrated. You showed up at the gym and it didn't give you the result on day one. Right. But you had all the planning to get there. You bought the shoes, you bought the outfit, you watched the videos. This is what I want to be. So the marketplace is predicated on, for me, surround strategy. What I mean by that is when I was in the music business and people are like, well, I want a record deal. You're like, dude, if I call that guy right now, he's giving you $1. So the goal is, how do I get him to call me so he gives me $10? Right? If I call you, I'm going to take what you accept, what you offer. If I get you to call me, my game. So part of the strategy is direct to consumer. It has to be. You have to be able to have a first person conversation. Some of that comes down to like, what's the problem I identify for you? What's the solution? To be frank with you, I don't want to be the hero. I want to be your guide. You're the hero. You're the hero in the story. And if I can fix that thing for you in 1, 2, 3, right? I wish it were mine. Great book. Go read Story Brand. Great book. Great philosophy. Great. The guy lays it out. It's like how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. But the reality of it is the first thing you need to think about is, the people say, what's your why? Well, what's your why is also based upon what are you doing for the person that you want to be their friend, right? What is that? And then what's the optimal outcome for them? How simple can you make it? 1, 2, 3. Anything after that, right? You lost me in the sauce. And then how's this going to better me? So for me, and I'm still dialing in my communication, I cannot say it otherwise. I am not hitting 100 for 100 right now. I'm kind of like Shaq in his like 5th season trying to hit free throws. I know I can do it. I'm pretty goddamn close. Excuse my language. I'm pretty close to the basket. You know what I mean? Like it's right
You're
there.
almost there.
But I keep bouncing it off the back of the rim, right? I'm not embarrassed by that because I'm the forest and the trees. I'm not the footpath. I know there's one here because I know what I created. So I just say that to say this. First thing I did was create my personas. Who do I think I want to talk to? Therefore, I can kind of bifurcate things and then put different KPIs to different things and different metrics. And not everybody's on the same platform. I am not a TikTok person at all whatsoever. It's just not my shtick, right? It's just not my thing. But I recognize I'm going to have to get there. It's actually not my audience on day one either. So I'm okay with not chasing that cart right now. My apples aren't going to go on there. I'm kind of focused right now in like the Substack to LinkedIn world, the Instagram to email world, right? And then just Meta in general, like just whatever, right? However, I'm also advertising on YouTube. I think it's the biggest waste of money that I'm doing right now, but I know I have to do it because intrinsically it's going to help my ranking in the Google world. But that might all go away in, let's say, 18 months from now when AI search actually does what they say it's going to. So I'm just prepared to pivot is my point.
Yeah.
What I have honed in on, though, are my personas. Who do you want to talk to? I'll use a great example, the conference that you have coming up that I intend to attend, okay?
Yeah.
There are 400 people that are going to be in that room. Well, Dunbar effect gives me 150 that maybe I can make relationship with. Doubt it, right? What you should do beforehand is say, hey, Zach, you're going to publish a list of who's going to be there, and maybe I should go do some homework. And if I go do some homework and I know who those people are, and let's say I have 7 of them pointed out in my head and I get to 3 of them, but those 3 people, pretty confident about it, will also have 3 or 4 other people around them when I'm talking. And if I can talk succinctly and interestingly enough to the person I'm talking to, the other people listening will also get that information. And then they might walk over to their other friends and go, dude, did you talk to Alex about that ToneWell thing? That's super fascinating. And that, right? And now I can not just get my 7 people, but I've actually walked away with, 20, whatever. And when I leave with those 20, what do you do with them? I'm a super follow-up guy to the point that I actually rant about it sometimes on LinkedIn. I do not understand ghost culture. I've been in my business, in my life, on this planet long enough to know it is not a small world. That is a giant fallacy. There's only big people. I don't mean that by ego. There are people that are gatekeepers, intersectors. You'll find them in a million different places. And if you've just flipped me the bird, I'm going to remember that. And I'm
Mhm.
going to see you again. And I'm not vindictive. I'm not vicious. I'm just smart enough to remember. So if you've ghosted me for no good reason, I promise you we're going to bump into each other, but now I know that's your character. It takes 7 seconds to say, thank you so much for thinking about me. This is not right for me now, ever, whatever. And you've been polite. Maybes kill people. Yeses are wonderful. Nos are equally as good. I stop wasting my time and energy. So
Yeah.
I just say that to say, in my communication for my marketing, I look at it the same way. I started with my 3 personas, who I believe I should be talking to. I then did my homework that said, well, this is where I can bump into them, whatever the platform might be. And this
Mhm.
is the type of conversation I should have with them. And if I connect that conversation with them on this platform well enough, there should be some sort of ripple effect in that water. And if I can capture that, like measure the distances between the waves, which is all an analytic is for, I might be able to replicate it. The things that like just sink like a stone, you go, don't do that again. I'm good at curtailing my language. I'm good at using somebody else's lexicon of words. And that's really like where people get stuck because you're so close to your company. You're so close to your brand, your ethos, your tech, your moat, your secret sauce, call it what you want, that you haven't recognized life is participatory action. So you have to get the other person to participate. You can't play catch with yourself. That's throwing the ball up in the air, right? So that to me is where people get frustrated and walk away.
Yeah.
Like I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? I'm a black belt at this point, 13 plus years in. I started when I was 40, which is the point of my story. I was terrible. And I was already like a grown man being terrible at something where like there was like a 15-year-old girl smoking me,
Yeah.
you know? But I could have just walked away, but it was actually something I wanted to do. So I went through all of the growing pains, all of the embarrassment, a lot of pain, a lot of the... And it took 10,000 hours to get like mediocre, not even good,
Yeah.
right? And that's the same thing with brands or communication. Just because I like this color doesn't mean you do. And that is where I think people get really frustrated in go-to-market. Go-to-market is actually the words that it sounds like. Like,
Mhm.
think you're a
Get to the
peddler from
market.
back in the day with an apple cart. Where are you going? I'm going to the market.
It's really funny because any of these breakout successes, a lot of people from the outside are like, where did they come from? But to your point, and you're giving us a peek behind the curtain, and I kind of had this realization, it is months, if not years, of scalable actions that lead to what seems like a breakout star. But
Yes.
having that definitive understanding of who the ideal customer is, where they are and where they exist. Like I learned this when I was starting the company with my brother. We were building and selling 3D printed bag safe charger accessories. And we were 2 guys trying to advertise to probably like the 18 to 21-year-old demographic of girls
Mhm.
because there's really cute product. And we're like, why are we getting no sales? Because we're not curating the message in the right way to the people who want to buy the product. And so it's that long process of who is your customer? What is intrinsically important to them? Where do I meet them? And how do I, at the beginning, unscalably convince them to become early adopters, which drives that spoke wheel or flywheel?
Some of the best success of anybody I've ever seen, or brands or celebrity, whatever, it doesn't matter, comes with an enormous hill of failure. You just don't see those. So I have failed, and unless I'm a schnook, I'm just not going to do that again. I'm going to try the next thing. You have 26 letters. So if somebody said pick a letter and you're wrong 25 times, you'll be right on the 26th, right? That attitude, we live in the very weird instant gratification because of delivery, not because of result. So people think that result is the same because I can instantly get it to you, that I'm instantly going to get the... If I don't, back to surround strategy, why do I believe you? Who is telling me this? Where can I corroborate it? ToneWell, I'm telling you that I'm using your voice frequency to give you a overall analysis of thousands of biomarkers And you say, but I haven't seen that before. How do you know that works? And I'll say, well, here's 20 years of PubMed studies, and here's an NIH study, and here's an American blah, blah, blah study. And oh, by the way, how do you think an MRI works? And have you ever heard Nikola Tesla say the universe is made of X, Y? And you give them all of these reference points so that they think of it. Right? So you need to surround the person with enough codified information, idea, communication structure. One of the great uses of language. So we use language in a way that disqualifies its meaning when it's used up front. Example, meme. The meme is the root of a thought from the back of your head before it's become a visualization and out of your mouth. So in the psychology of thought, a meme is a real word. It's like a real thing. And we've made it into, and it's correct, funny cat photos that make you laugh because you're thinking about that thing. Yeah, that's what a meme is. However, the notion is that I have to get you thinking about my idea. And I have to get you thinking about the words that I'm using. And then pictorially, I need to get you to see it for yourself. And viscerally, I need you to get to touch it for yourself. So if you can do that on the first shot out the gate instantaneously, like, welcome to Michael Jordan. But he also sucked at baseball, even though he was a great baseball player. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this like...
You got to find your lane.
It's a total misnomer just because I can hit the return key that the other person's going to start clapping.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way.
Okay, so your entire thesis that we've been talking about is really focusing on the action of your users. We just talked a little bit about how do you find your users, how do you begin to grow, how do you think about go-to-market strategy as it relates to building a new business, especially in the health and well-being space. I'm curious from your experience in working with customers, what is the hardest behavior to change? Like you are scanning for them, you are in their pocket, you are giving them actionable information. Is understanding, is it, again, the word, not attrition.
Retention?
Thank you. Is it retention, getting them to come back? Is it their overall follow through? Like, what's the hardest behavior when you're trying to get someone to, hey?
The hardest behavior is firsthand belief. Okay. And this is what I mean by that. Once I've given you a report and I can give you information on yourself that we did not discuss, and oh, by the way, I don't actually listen, nobody does, to any of the voice files that anybody sends. We're just looking at them for clarity and volume. That's it. I'm looking for the signal, not the content. Words are words. Like, it's what's inside of the wavelength, the breath, the tonality. Like, that's really what we're looking at. Your acoustics, your vibrations, whatever. The hardest part is actually getting the person to hit the buy button, so to speak. After that, I have a guy that just did his fourth one within inside of a month, because I sent it to him and he said to me, and is in the grass-fed beef business and is like a long-time farmer, has a huge grass-fed beef company, one of the biggest in the country, and is a guy that's like, actually, unfortunately, lived in like industrial wastelands. Welcome to U.S. farming, right? So he's had a lot of health issues. And when I sent him back our report, he said, how did you know X, Y, Z? And I said, I don't actually know anything. I'm handing, you're the broadcaster. I'm listening to your radio station. I'm not telling you what to play. And he said, wow, that's fascinating. And then he said, but I'm already X, Y, Z. And I said, yeah, but you don't understand. Here's a very basic one. A lot of people have digestion issues. And if you have digestion issues, I also promise you'll have an oral health issue. And when I send you something about, and it says oral health, you'll say, but I brush and floss. And I'll say, yes, that's great, but it's the beginning of your digestion path. So maybe the enzymes in your mouth aren't right. So maybe where it simply says, scrape your tongue. And when that works, people come back. It's not hard. We don't recommend difficult things. The friction, believe it or not, is somebody taking the leap of faith that there's now an answer. I don't need more information. I need an answer. How do I feel better? How do I function better is what people are really looking for. And they're so gun shy because they've been upsold and resold and retargeted and oversold that it's just another thing. And when I can get them past that, that's the easiest, that it becomes, because I'm saying to you, look, I can see that your stress load is high. Maybe think about taking X, or you're not sleeping. Have you taken GABA and magnesium? And most people say, well, what's GABA? Well, not just is it your receptor, sure, but you can actually go find it on the shelf. Mm-hmm. And if that works for you and you then feel better, something you can't argue with anybody, how do you feel? And they say, I feel better, they're going to come back. It's the initial leap of faith that you're now going to get something actionable, not just another dose of, which is why I try to publish reports and this is what our thing looks like. And I don't believe people read, they look at stuff. So my framing of it has to get more visually acute. And it's a mix where you get there. I had a wonderful conversation with somebody yesterday in corporate wellness. I really hope to get them as a client because corporate wellness is a place I'd like to be. And when the call was over, I said, hey, why don't you just send me a 30-second voice clip and I'll send you back a full report, blah, 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 blah. So you know what we're talking about. They were super excited. The second we hung up, I followed up with an email. I'm still looking at my inbox for their voice message. It's 30 seconds, guy.
Yeah.
Not that's our
It's the
friction point.
initial, it's the first point of action, it's the leap of faith, and then the cascading result that comes from that. And to your
Right.
point, we didn't get a chance to hop into this. I know we're coming on time, but one thing that I respect that you work on doing is having 3 to 5 actionable. You don't want to give the laundry list that a lot of things do, which is like, here's 30 things to go do. Like, what do you mean? It's start with 3 actionable things you can go do. So maybe we'll have some time to dig in, but the one thing, Alex, I love to end every podcast with the person is inviting them to share an intention that you have for the next few days or weeks. Maybe it's
Sure.
about you, your work, your life, whatever it could be. What's the intention you want to put into the universe?
So I'm a big believer that your intention and your attention need to be aligned. That's how you turn thoughts into actions and actions into outcomes. So my intention for what I'm doing with ToneWell, in all honesty, is to stay focused on the plan that I have in front of me and that my attention stays in that pocket. My intention, as I've said a couple times with what we do for ToneWell, is to help people build better relationships with themselves. As somebody that has spent a lifetime, if not a career, networking, it's actually based upon what you do for the person on the other side of the table. Not what you can do for me. I know what you can do for me. You're going to pay me with your credit card. I have a margin. Look at me. I'm in business. It's what can I do for you? And if I can stay on that path of my intention is helping the person that I come across, everything else opens up. You'd be amazed when somebody says, oh my God, I got to introduce you to, or I have a friend that you need to meet, or that would be great for my retreat, whatever it might be. And that's really, I try to keep it super, the road to riches starts with a dime. Go get the dime. You'll get the dollar after you have 10 dimes, right? And that's my intention, to stay focused in the pocket of really just being what we are and trying to help people build their better relationship.
And speaking of that, I actually have 2 people I need to connect you with that came up as we were chatting on this.
Love it.
I love it. But
Love it.
Alex, thanks for your time. This has been really interesting, and hopefully we'll do it again and dive deeper into like the 8 pillars that you talk about that we didn't have a chance, and branding and marketing, because distribution is everything. But thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I would be remiss if I did not say, please go to tonewell.co and check us out.
I will link that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.